Good morning. So I'm presently participating in my favorite part of work, vacation. Got about a week and a half off. Spent a few days visiting family in the Nashville area and thought I'd go someplace I've never been before, Big South Fork. It's a park. It's about 125,000 acres, and it's on part of it's in Tennessee, part of it's in Kentucky. And just got here yesterday evening. And today's my first day of hiking. I'm at the Bandy Creek Campground, which is really neat. There's a big system of trails throughout the park, and they all pretty much interconnect to each other. The Sheltoid Trace comes through here. And I'm at Leatherwood Ford for my first series of hikes today. Woo, I'm going uphill early in the morning. Let me show you a map real quick. Okay, so we're currently down at the Leatherwood Ford trailhead right here. My campsite is roughly up in this area up here. I could actually have hiked down to here. I'm not sure what the mileage would be, probably 15 to 20 miles roughly. Parked here, we're going to do the Angel Falls Trail first, up to the rapids, mostly follow the river. Then we'll come back, and then we'll cross the bridge, and mostly follow the river again, and then go up to an overlook of Angel Falls. Altogether, that's going to be roughly 10 miles. And then I think we're going to drive over to the East Rim and do the Sunset Overlook Trail. That should be a pretty good day right there. So there's really a lot of history here in this area. In the large stone shelters, the roofs of those are still covered in soot from hundreds of years ago. The Cherokee and the Shawnee would travel through this area and spend some time living in those stone shelters. And the Long Hunters, including Daniel Boone, did the same thing and camped and hunted out here in this area. And also, the John Muir Trail runs through here, not the one in the Sierras. It's the one that goes, John Muir, when he first began his long walk, I think started in Indianapolis and went down to the Gulf of Mexico, and then into Central America, and then up the Pacific coast. But he went through here. So there's a long John Muir Trail that goes through here. I'm not sure how long it is. So there are a lot of multi-use trails out here. The trail I'm on now is for hiking only. For hiking, there are over 500 miles of trails here. For horses, there are over 250 miles for equestrian use. And they do have 2 horse camps too, which is really cool. For mountain bikers, there's over 125 miles of mountain biking trails. And I forgot the mileage, but there are quite a few miles of four-wheel drive roads out here too. So there's something for everybody here. So I arrived here yesterday afternoon and pitched camp, went to the visitor center and got all the literature and spent some time studying maps and guides to determine what I wanted to do. And then at 7 p.m. last night, which is interesting because the line between Eastern Standard Time and Central Standard Time is right through the middle of the campground. So we're all deciding which side of the line we were camped on last night. But the whole park is on Eastern Time. So we went to this campfire talk given by a couple of park employees. And they gave us the history and a lot of information about what's popular to do here in the park, and then answered all questions. and that was really informative. It helped me determine what I want to do. I've got about, well, it depends, at the most a week to be here, and I think I'm just going to scratch the surface in that amount of time. It's such a big area, and one thing they said that was interesting is that it's best to consider this as a combination of 3 parks. The Smokies, because the vegetation's the same, and they have black bears and timber rattlers and everything like that. You know, it's the same as the Smokies. It's not that far away. But we're on the Cumberland Plateau, and this is a river gorge and canyons like the Grand Canyon. I'm sorry, I'm out of breath. And that's the second park reference that they want you to consider, is that you're not climbing up mountains, you're dropping into gorges and down to the river. And the third is Arches National Park in Utah, because just like out there, these are all sandstone arches, and there are a lot of slot canyons here too. And I'm hoping to find some of those slot canyons, because that would be cool. I did talk to my neighbor at the campsite last night who went through one yesterday, and he had a couple of pictures of copperheads. And in the slot canyon, you don't have room to move much, so he said you just got to keep your eyes open there. So I mentioned my neighbor at the campground. His name is Ben. He's a really neat guy. And he got here maybe a day or two before me. And yesterday he has a mountain bike here with him, kind of a gravel bike, but it's really got some big tires, and it's a pretty good hybrid, I would say. Anyway, it just doesn't have the shocks, but he does a lot of bike packing and just a lot of really cool stuff. So yesterday he did about 15 miles on his bike, all around in different areas here, and he showed me his pictures, and he had a lot of shelter caves. One of them, he said, was about 500 feet deep. That is the biggest shelter cave I've ever, well, I've never been to one personally that big before. And so I'm looking forward to finding some of these. Oh, I hope this really shows up on camera. We've got a bend in the river, and it's really widened out and gotten still. Oh, something I just remembered too from the ranger talk last night is they are working on being designated as, I'm going to get this wrong, I'm sure, but I think it's called a dark sky area, an area with no light pollution, and you can see the Milky Way with your naked eye and over 2,000 stars just with your naked eye. That just sounds beautiful. It's an international designation, and they said there are a lot of hoops to jump through, a lot of paperwork, but they expect that in November of this year that they'll receive that designation. So I think that's really cool. So even though Big South Fork is part of the national park system, it's designated a National River Recreation Area. I hope I got that right. And that's a little bit different. So it's established to protect the river, but it's got over 250 square miles of land around the river, and they have put trails, quite a few trails through it, and you're not required to stay on the trails here. You can go off trail and explore, and you'll find a lot more arches and some huge caves apparently too, but they won't tell you where they are. You just kind of have to find them on your own. So in the wintertime, with all the foliage off the trees and shrubs here, I imagine you could see a whole lot more than you can in the summer. My original plans were to head to the Smokies after visiting family, but one of my cousins told me that there's a big Jeep rally in Gatlinburg this weekend, and of course this is still the busy time of year. They're expected to have 14.3 million visitors to that park this year, and this one's expected to have 123,000. Big difference. And according to the rangers here, this is the park that the rangers from the Smokies come to when they want to get outdoors. Boy, I spent the last 3 days sitting in a chair and not eating very well, just talking the entire time. It feels so good to be moving again. Good, I was actually starting to get worried I'd missed Angel Falls. So you have to portage. If you're in a kayak or a canoe, you cannot run it. It's a class 4 or 5, I think, rapid. So you have to portage around it. 1.3 to the John Smith place. I didn't read about that. I'm going to skip that for this time. I really know I'm coming back here again, but at least I know I haven't bypassed Angel Falls yet. This is really a neat little sign. So it's talking about Angel Falls, and you know, it's not as bad as I thought. This guy's definitely in a whitewater kayak, you can tell by the size. But it says, prior to the park's creation, it was a modest waterfall. But in 1954, explosives were used to create an easier route for boats on the river. But it had the opposite effect, and it created a series of dangerous rapids with a strong undercut, which can really suck you in and drown you. So they're class 3 and 4 rapids, and they're not recommended for anyone to paddle through. I can see that. And this is just a little display of like a class 1, 2, 3, and 4 rapid. They do have class 5 and 6 rapids on the Big South Fork in the spring. We're here at the driest time of year right now. Oh, this is coal country. There used to be a coal mining town at the northern end of this park. But you can see exposed coal seams at different areas. I just stepped down off the trail down to the river, and I have got the most beautiful view. It's so amazing. I'm so glad I ended up here instead of the Smokies. The next trail we're going to hike after this is the Angel Falls Overlook, and I would put money on it goes to one of those 2 bluffs right there, or maybe that one over there to the far right, and then looks down into this part of the river, because we're really close to Angel Falls. Wow. Okay. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. Wow. You know, it's really difficult to get a sense of scale through the camera. How far away something is, how high that bluff is, or how large these boulders are. But hopefully this will help a little bit. Okay, I finally made it to Angel Falls. There is no easy way to get here. I think you're meant to just look at it from that observation deck with the sign, but this time of year there's so much foliage I couldn't see it from there. So just some rock hopping across this big boulder field, and we're there. Let me get a little bit closer. It is really cool. Okay, so this is looking upriver. There's the rapids, Angel Falls, and it empties into this deep pool. I'm sure if the water was higher, that could be run in a whitewater kayak. It just, you just need to be experienced, that's all. Okay, so now we're headed back to the trailhead. All of my hikes today are out and backs. This one, I think, round trips around 4 miles or a little bit more. I'll pick you up at the end of the trail. I'm sorry, I know I said I'd get back to you at the trailhead, but I thought of a really important tip for when you're hiking in places, especially with venomous snakes. When you're stepping over a fallen tree, a log, you want to step on the top of it and then away from it instead of just over it without touching it. I don't know how many times I've stepped over a log and turned around to look back and there was a copperhead stretched out on the side of that log. So that's just a tip. So Tennessee's been in a drought for pretty much the whole summer, and the waterfalls are just trickles right now, which was one of the reasons I chose this park, because of all the natural beauty that is not a waterfall here. But look at this magnolia leaf. They're already drying up and falling off the trees. And you see how it's silver on the back? This is kind of a medium-sized one actually, but when they die, then the back of the leaves turn silver and they drop off the tree. They're really pretty leaves and trees. All right, we're back at the trailhead. I wanted to show you just around a little bit. There are 3 different parking areas and they have really nice restroom facilities here too. All right, we're back at the trailhead. I stopped at the car for some electrolytes. We're going to have to cross the river, get on the John Muir Trail to the Angel Falls Overlook, 5.6 miles round trip. So we're back here. We're going to cross on the high water bridge. Used to cross on the low water bridge. I'll show you that first, and then we'll cross over, walk along the river for a ways, and then hike up to the bluffs. Okay, so we're headed to the low water bridge. This was used all the way up till sometime in the 50s. They even used it for school buses to bring the children to school. I think it was sometime in the 70s. It would wash out every year, and sometime in the 70s they decided they were no longer going to rebuild it every year, and they built a high water bridge, which is off to the left, and we'll walk across that. Here's the low water bridge. I think you could get across it. It looks a little sketchy. And there's the high water bridge with a couple of backpackers going across it now. This is looking upriver. So many beautiful flowers here. I kind of wish I brought my mirrorless camera, but I didn't want to have to fool with camera and multiple lenses and a large tripod, so I've just got my action camera right now. That way I could, I don't know, just travel a little lighter, I guess. So I just ran across a couple of different groups of backpackers. Where we're headed to is we're going to walk along the river and be on the John Muir Trail up to the Angel Falls Overlook, and then the John Muir Trail carries on past that a long ways, but also it connects with another trail called the Grand Gap Loop. And I'm not going to do that today, but I just talked to some people that spent the night there, and they said it's really pretty. A lot of shelter caves and just beautiful rock formations. It's dry up there though, they said. But I'm going to save that for another day. I can also get there from where I'm camping. It's a little over 5 miles one way just to get to the trail. That's okay for a one-day hike. It's not bad. Wow, this is weedy and bouldery. I like it. It's way different than the other trail. So you disperse camp here. You have to have a permit. $5 for 1 to 5 people, $10 for up to 10 people. That is really inexpensive. You can't beat it. And I did see a couple of campsites on that Angel Falls trail right on the edge of the river. You could tell, you know, fire rings. Just looks like all the vegetation's dead where people camp frequently. So I do like that. You do want that permit because it's got your license plate number from your vehicle, and that'll prevent your vehicle from being towed if it's at a trailhead parking lot for too long of a time. Wow, this just stretches on and on. It's really pretty. You know, I've been quite pleasantly surprised. I've been walking through a lot of weedy areas on this trail, with them brushing up against my legs from the waist down, actually. And I haven't found a single tick yet. Man, am I happy. I'm walking through a grove of hemlocks. I really didn't expect to find that at the bottom of the gorge. It's really pretty. Okay, so here's an example of what the blazes look like. This signifies the John Muir Trail, and this is for hikers only. Well, this is a rickety bridge. I've got to come here in winter for all these views that I'm missing out on here in the summertime. Just as a point of reference, this is a Saturday. Next weekend is Labor Day weekend, and all the campsites were booked through the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. So that still gives me quite a few days here, though. Wow, I just walked through all of that and didn't find any ticks on me. That would never happen in Missouri. I'd be covered. All right, for maybe a half mile, 3/4 of a mile, I've suspected I was not on the right trail. And I know because it ends at the end of this bridge. There's absolutely nothing past this. In fact, I think this bridge may have been washed here. Let me show you the end of this bridge. That's a pretty big drop. Okay, so yeah, I could see remnants of another bridge that got washed farther down the creek. This is interesting. I haven't seen a trail marker in a long time. Oh, I see remnants of another bridge over here on the other bank too. All right, there's no way I'm rock hopping across this. So I'm gonna figure something out. Take a minute, get a drink of water, maybe get a snack. I don't want to backtrack, but I think I have no choice. I do have a map, not really a good one, but it's something. I'll get back to you. Alright, so this bridge definitely got washed out. You can see sort of the anchor timbers at the other end. Half of the bridge is totally gone. That explains too why this trail has been washed out in a couple of places and it's been kind of sketchy. I'll show you one of them, and where that really weedy area was another one. Well, that explains also why I'm dealing with all these blowdowns. And I'd heard there was a big storm that went through here, but I didn't catch when it was. And there's several areas of this park that are closed because of all the damage, washouts and blowdowns. And the picket, whatever that is, state forest, national forest or whatever, which is borders this park, and they share a road, is almost completely closed because of the danger from all the blowdowns, including like their campground and all the roads into Pickett. So I am on the wrong trail. I may be on, I'd heard the Laurel Fork Trail was closed. I'm not sure if that's in this area, but I'm thinking that's what I'm on right now. So we're backtracking. Okay, so I'm back past all the washouts, and I know I'm on the John Muir Trail because I have a blaze on this tree right here. The problem I'm having is that to get to the Angel Falls Overlook, you follow the John Muir Trail and then you take a side trail off to the right, and that'll take you up to the top of the bluffs out of the gorge, and it's even got ladders on it to assist you in reaching the top. And then once you're up there, you should be pretty close to the overlook and then the Grand Gap Trail. So either I have gone past that side trail, which I don't think I have because I've been pretty much paralleling the river this whole time, or I do have to go past some of these washouts. I hate to invest all day in I'm not going to get lost because I know I can always get back to where I am now, which will take me back to the car. I'm only a couple of miles from the car. But, so I'm going to put this camera away for a little bit and just explore around and hope I get lucky. And if I don't, I'm going to have to write this one off and maybe talk to a ranger about it tomorrow. Alright, so I've invested a couple of hours into searching around, and there's caution tape on the ground. You can tell across the trail just before that washed out bridge. I don't know if I didn't see that this trail was closed when I was at the ranger station, but yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe I went the wrong way. I'm gonna pay attention on the way back to the car, but I don't know, maybe these hikers are just trying to boulder past that broken section of the bridge to get the rest of the way across that kind of gorge there, and that's where the trail goes. Anyway, since I don't know, I'm not going to do that. If I did know, it looks like fun, to be honest. But who knows where I'll end up. The map I have just doesn't have enough detail, and there aren't enough blazes out here for me to really get a good sense of like it when you're in an intersection. See, a lot of these trails aren't even official trails. They're just made by locals. And hold on, I've got like a 3-foot step up here. But wow, and then a washout. But it's the not knowing is what it is. Definitely getting a GPS app for the future. I can't do it here. I just don't have the bandwidth to download one. So I'm going to head back to the car, and we have a short drive to the East Rim, and then we have some hikes out there. Now, in studying the map, I can get to the Angel Falls Overlook using different trails out of the campground, and it looks like it's about 9 to 10 miles one way, so it's like an 18 to 20 mile day, which is doable. How long it takes depends upon how rugged and difficult the terrain is. So that's a plan B, and I'll keep that in the bank in case I have enough time out here to do that, in addition to everything else I want to do. Well, it seems I spoke too soon about the ticks. I pulled 3 off of me so far that were stuck in, which, considering all the weeds I went through, still beats Missouri by a mile. I probably would have pulled more than 10 times that off of me if this would have been in Missouri, so I'm still not complaining. Okay, so we're just a short distance from Leatherwood Ford at the East Rim Overlook parking. It's only a 1/10 of a mile trail and it's paved. Doesn't get much better than that. But I just talked to somebody who was coming back and they said it's beautiful. And there are a couple of other trails off the road that came up here that I can access. There's somebody's self-made trail to the edge of a cliff. I think I'll stick to the paved trail. So I'm really excited to see this. Wow, that was one of the most spectacular views I've ever seen. That was absolutely gorgeous. And the night sky from there is supposed to be good, and it faces west for the sunset. How beautiful would that be? All right, just a quick drive off the same road as the East Rim Overlook parking. And we're parked at a spot where on this side of the road is the East Rim trailhead for the Leatherwood Loop Trail. And we're going to jump on that, and instead of doing the Leatherwood Loop, we're going to hike the John Muir Trail down to the O&W Railroad Bridge. Then we'll come back, and on this side is the Sunset Overlook Trail out to another gorgeous view similar to that East Rim Trail. And we'll probably hit that around sunset. That's my guess, because this hike we're about to do is it's an out and back around 5 miles. And it's around 2 or 2:30 in the afternoon. Okay, so I forgot to mention earlier, I talked to somebody. We passed a ranger station on the way here, and I was on the right course where that bridge was washed out. You have to make your way across the remainder of that gorge and then up that really steep embankment. They recommend against it, but it's not officially closed, so you can do it. And anyway, at the point that I was at that washout bridge, I was just a mile away from the overlook. So if I would have known, I would have gone for it. Now the thing is, once you get up there, that trail connects to the Grand Gap Loop Trail, which I think is around 7 miles. And a lot of that is along the bluff lines overlooking the gorge. So if I do it from the Leatherwood Ford trailhead, where I started today, crossing that bridge, it's about a 12.5 mile out and back, like a lollipop hike. And if I do it from the campground, it's more than 18 to 20 mile range. But it's easier because I don't have to use ladders to get up to the bluffs and all that, although that sounds like a whole lot more fun. So I hate not achieving my goals. And I know I could always come back here another time, but I may not do something else I had planned to do while I'm here and do that tomorrow or the next day, just because it bugs me. All right, change of plans. We are not going to the O&W Railroad Bridge today. So where I was at earlier this morning at Leatherwood Ford, you can immediately jump on the John Muir Trail and get there in 2.3 miles. And then back 2.3, and it's flat and it parallels the river the whole way. From up here at the point, you have to go down into the gorge and then go another couple of miles along the river on the John Muir Trail and get to it. Then you have to climb back up out of the gorge, and it adds 3.5 miles to the hike. So plus it's very, very steep. I just met a mom and two kids who I had met at Leatherwood Ford when they were starting their lupi. And it's so funny because I just met them here at the trail sign, and they told me, oh man, don't, they just finished coming up out of the gorge. They're like, don't do it from here. They said, go back to Leatherwood and do it from there. So we're gonna go back across the road here and hike out to Sunset Point. This is what I love about these kind of like impulsive, spur of the moment, unplanned trips, is you never know how they're gonna go. And but the people you meet when you're out on trails like this are always super friendly and helpful, you know, willing to help. And it's I've met some really neat people since I've been here, and it's been a lot of fun. And I've gotten some good ideas of places to go too. So, okay, we will do that, but I don't know if we have time today, which means we'll be at Sunset Point before the sunset, but that's okay. It's supposed to be a gorgeous overlook across the gorge again. So I'll pick you up when we get to the road. Well, I feel like I'm just all over the place today, which is really a lot of fun, but I don't know how I'm going to edit this video so that it makes sense to someone watching it. I expect my whole time here to be kind of more the same though. I wanted to spend 4 days here and then go up to the Red River Gorge for 2 or 3 days and see what's there. I've never been there either. When I used to be into rock climbing, a lot of people I knew would go out there to climb, and I never did make that trip, and I kind of regret it. Now, I think I could still climb around a 5'8" or a 5'9", which is kind of beginner level, to be honest with you, but I'm sure there's climbs out there that are at that rating level. I need to get in the gym and see what I can do still. It's been a long time. I bet it's been somewhere between 8 and 10 years. It's a long time. I know my grip streak's gone, but it would be fun to just find out. Yeah, I'll do that on a bad weather day. I was just thinking about how the last time I ever really took a trip on a vacation without an itinerary, or not even knowing where I was going, was when I was a teenager. And my friends and I used to do that a lot during the summers. And then on breaks, on school breaks, we'd always just say, hey, let's go somewhere. And sometimes it'd be like midnight when we had the idea, and we'd pack up and go, you know. Sometimes it was backpacking. Sometimes it was just a road trip. You never knew. Always fun though. Oh, it looks like we're headed down to a road. That's kind of odd. But, so this is really kind of nostalgic. Of course, I'm here on my own. I don't think I really ever did anything on my own like this when I was a teenager. But it's just kind of weird to just kind of stay loose, you know, and not know what's coming next. But you know, you gotta figure something out. You don't want to just sit around, you know. So it's what I remember about trips like, oh, we're just going to cross the little road here and back on the trail. What I remember about trips like this is you would end up finding things and doing things that you never would have had an idea were there if you would have planned the trip out. Now, you would find out later that you missed some things that you kind of wish you would have gone to see. But I'm sorry. Oh, good. This route is open. There's a sign that said whether this trail was open or closed. You know, this trail isn't what I expected. It's really a gorgeous trail through the deep shaded woods, slight breeze, which is awesome on a day that's as hot as it is today. But I kind of thought we'd get like a walk along the edge of the bluffs and be in full sun. So I'm curious to see what we find at the end of this trail. You know, I thought the sign said 1.3 miles to the overlook, and it's starting to feel like twice that now. I'm beginning to wonder if I'm on the right trail. That's kind of gonna match how the rest of the day is gone if I'm not. But it just feels like it's going on, and we're never getting there. Well, it would appear I'm not very good at judging distance. I'll bet I could see at eye level sky, which means we're almost to the cliff. And it was probably only a quarter mile or so ago that I thought this trail was never going to end. So we're really close. It's been a long day. Maybe that's it. Wow. Oh, I can see the bridge. That Leatherwood Ford Bridge. That is cool. Look at those bluff lines. That's probably where we were earlier on the East Rim. Looking left, it's all blocked by foliage, the view, but it would continue farther upriver, up the gorge. That is just fantastic. Wow. Wow, what an amazing first day. I have to say I'm a little tired though. Oh, I think it's, we started out this morning at 61. Man, that was fantastic. But we were supposed to be at 94 this afternoon, and it's really been feeling that. And I think the heat's just sapping my energy a little bit. That 1.3 miles felt a lot longer, but what a view. What was really cool is being able to see the bridge from there. At the East Rim Overlook, what was really good about that is you could look up and down river through the gorge, and that was really neat too. You got some really long distance views there. So this has just been amazing. So I'm really glad that I picked this destination. I'm gonna go ahead and head back to camp. It's a little early. I don't know what time it is, but I can tell it's a little early. And I'll get cleaned up, make a little dinner, and show you camp. See you there. All right, just made it to camp. It's about 5 p.m. So it's not late at all, actually. I've got a couple hours till dark, 2.5 hours, I guess. But I'll just give you a quick tour of camp here. There's my bear box, my table. The tote is my kitchen, food and stove, my little tent, and the car. Hi there. So I thought I'd wait a little bit before dinner, let it cool off a little bit, let me cool off a little bit, and kind of figure out what I got done today and what I'm going to do tomorrow. So at the Visitor Center, I picked up the National Geographic map for Big South Fork. I try to get one of these for every large park that they're available in. They're great. It's just great trail information. Helps keep you from getting lost and think of places to go. At the Visitor Center, they had this much smaller map, not quite the detail, but when I was with the ranger, he circled a lot of areas that he thought they're quite popular and he thought I'd enjoy seeing, and that was really nice. I recommend going to a Visitor Center when you're in a park when they have those available, and the people that staff those are always just a wealth of knowledge and very helpful. They have some brochures about the east side of the park, the west side of the park, Pickett, which borders the west side of this park. And every year they'll put out a little newspaper, or every season, I think, with some information about the park. This is the 50th anniversary for this park, so they're doing a lot around that. And then we'll talk about different things to do within the park too. But you could do everything here practically. I mentioned earlier, I think, mountain biking, equestrian, four-wheeling. You can hunt, fish, hiking, of course. And, of course, there's the river. And there are a lot of outfitters that will set you up with shuttles and canoes and kayaks. And there are multiple portages on this river. And I'd recommend probably the kayak if you're by yourself. A small whitewater kayak especially. You could run some stuff in that other people are going to portage around in a canoe. But so that's kind of what I'm at right now. I got some paper, make my notes, and get organized for the next day. So it's not like I'm totally winging it, but when I left, the morning that I left to come here, I didn't know where I was going, and so I just kind of took a shot in the dark and decided to come here. And then when I got here, until I got to the Visitor Center, I didn't know where I was going to camp or what I was going to do. So it does make it quite the adventure. And I think I'll have to do this more often. I've forgotten how much fun this is. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm really short on the amount of water I need to be drinking right now. And I'm going to consume a lot of water. I have a spigot just between me and the next campsite, which is awesome. And charge some batteries for the camera and the phone. Now I'm on my action camera, and that's all I brought. And I have to say, I thought it would be adequate for the trip. It's small, lightweight, fits in my little day pack, and it's just easy to use. I don't have multiple lens options on it, and the internal mic is okay. It's not great though, and if I would have my other camera, I could have picked up a lot of the scenery that I can't get out of this camera. And some of the epic views would look even more epic on the camera. But I think it's going to look okay. I'll find out when I edit with this camera. If it does look okay, I'll probably use this only for bigger adventures, longer hikes and stuff like that, and bring the camera with the mirrorless camera with multiple lenses for times where it would be easier to bring all of that gear. I didn't bring it when I floated the Codaway and the Huzzah because this action camera is waterproof and that's not, and I'm glad I didn't have it with me because I tipped twice on that float, and that would have been the end of the lenses and the camera. So later I'll have some freeze-dried meal. I'll just decide kind of what sounds good at the time. They do have showers here, and I wish I would have known that, and a pool, because I plan to not shower for over a week. I know that sounds gross, but that's how it goes sometimes. And if I would have known, I would have had everything with me to do that. Plus, I would have brought my swimsuit and swam, because right now would be a great time for the pool. Well, next time maybe I'll take a little bit more time before I leave and try and find out some of that. All right, dinner's finished. I have plans for tomorrow. About an hour to dark, I'd say. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up and just read for the rest of the evening, and I'll see you in the morning. Good night.